Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show here on STV. The main talking points on tonight's programme. Dons make it 10 in a row and are all set for the battle for second with Rangers on Sunday. Cathro says Hearts can compete with Celtic if they do away with the goalposts. And Brendan Rodgers isn't too bothered about Celtic becoming the Invincibles. Yeah, just a few of the talking points. Alan Ruff and myself, Peter Martin, will be discussing in the company of one of our favourite regular boot-room guests, Ayr United's Gary Harkins is with us to discuss all things football. Quite a lot to get our teeth into, and you two guys will enjoy some of the back page headlines from this morning. Let's have a quick look to see what the main back page on the Daily Mail is. Again, just talking about Kenny Miller and his future, Brendan Rodgers singing the praises of Tom Rogic, and of course the results from last night dominate the headlines there. At the Daily Record, a different headline that's caught our attention: do away with the goalposts and we'll be as good as Celtic. And of course, bring on the Rangers was Aberdeen's cry after last night's win. And the late story from yesterday, Neil Lennon facing a semi-final ban. Both he and Jim Duffy have been charged over that brawl last week at Easter Road. So lots to talk about with that in mind. First of all, let's cut to the chase with the brawl. No surprise that the compliance officers had a look at it, and there's charges to be answered. The big surprise is Oyenuga gets off scot-free, Ruffy.
Yeah, I think we're all trying to get our head around that one. You know, from a professional point of view, I think we all saw it there in black and white that there wasn't any contact at all and he went down. And I just find it absolutely amazing, and it's going to be even more amazing when Darren McGregor goes up and we see what he gets, you know, because both of them are going to conflict each other, so they better get it right.
Yeah, I mean, the stories from the Edinburgh papers is that Darren McGregor remains confident that he can win his appeal. But does this slightly prejudice it if the compliance officer reckons, well, Oyenuga doesn't have a case to answer? Surely that suggests, Gary, to all and sundry, that McGregor did indeed headbutt him.
I thought we'll try to do a simulation, try to do simulation out the game. So if you're looking at that video, you can clearly see that McGregor's not headbutted him. So Oyenuga's went down for nothing. So for him not to have a case against him for that surprises me.
Yeah, and over and above that, Ruffy, the main charges here, which I think, you know, it'll be interesting to see what punishment is handed out to Neil Lennon, because I think we were talking about the previous situation that comes into effect here. He's got 3 charges: adopting an aggressive attitude to Morton, player Kudus Oyenuga, to the manager Jim Duffy, and to the match officials. Duffy is also accused of being aggressive towards Neil Lennon, as is his assistant Craig McPherson, and both clubs have been hit with a charge because of the mass confrontation as well.
Yeah, I think this is one of the reasons why Neil came out right at the very instance, you know, and stated his case, because I think he actually thought that he was going to be the main culprit of this, and it looks as if he's right, you know, because he's been charged with 3 different bits of that whole scenario. So I think he'll fight it. I think he'll fight at least 1 or 2 of them. You know, I don't think he'll get away with the one with Jim Duffy, because, you know, that was there for everybody to see. But the first instance, you know, I think he did stay on his own touchline. He was in his own bit, you know, so he never actually went onto the park and confronted one of the charges. So,
but I think the problem here, Ruffy, is all the points that he made that may well have been relevant have been lost by his actions after it. You know, you know, it's all right having a valid point, a valid case on, you know, the conduct of one player, the challenge on his player, but after that, it's his conduct after that I think, you know, weakens his case.
Well, you might be right there, you know, but if you're going to take Neil Lennon into, there were other people that haven't even been mentioned. There were more. There was about 3 or 4 players behaving in an aggressive manner. So why are they not being singled out and dealt with accordingly? That's why I think Neil thinks he's been the one that's been targeted. You know, he'll take whatever comes his way, I'm sure. But when he sees lots of other people getting away with it, that'll make it even worse.
Yeah, well, don't shout at me, Ruffy. I'm
No,
only
no.
asking the questions.
No,
Okay, we'll wait and we'll see exactly what's going to come out of that. I've got to pay tribute to Aberdeen. 10 wins in a row, Gary. I mean, they're in a confident mood. It's bring on the Rangers, as they cry from the back pages. But after last night, they managed to slug it out, albeit with an own goal. But Aberdeen get the win over Inverness.
I think when you're a good side, you pick up these type of wins where they might not have been at their best last night, but they've come away with a 1-0 win. And again, all credit to them. They've been great for the last 4 or 5 months, winning most of their games. So he's done a great job there this season.
Yeah, it just makes you wonder, Ruffy, if there was just maybe a couple of bits of the jigsaw that he could have added that could have pushed them on a wee bit more. I do think there's a couple of areas that are missing from them, mainly at the back line. That's where I think some of their weaknesses and some of the goals they've conceded.
I don't think Derek's any different from anybody else. If the chairman was to come to him and say, look, there's 2 or 3 million, go and push the boat out and let's see how close we can make it, he would have taken it. But obviously budgets are budgets and they're not there to go out and buy these players. So he's just got to wheel and deal. And I have to say that the way he has treated that aspect of it with Aberdeen, he's been quite successful.
Yeah, I don't know if you witnessed it. If you're a player, sometimes you just don't want to get near social media. You don't want to watch videos. You don't even want to watch any sports programme, news programme whatsoever. I'm talking, of course, about Miles' story. Gary, at that point, what you do is you turn your phone off and you take no calls from all your mates. What a sitter.
Yeah, my phone would have been binned, I think. I wouldn't have been looking at anything. There've been a couple of paracetamol beds, blinds shut. Nobody speak to me for a few days.
I mean, it's just a shocker off. What do you do? I mean, he's like, what is he, an inch out? 2 inches?
Yeah, well, probably Gary could tell us how it happens more than anybody because he's in that position. But it seemed to be, it just came. And the unfortunate thing was it gets stuck between his 2 feet, and rather than going into the goal, it goes backwards. So, and then he tries to clot. And it gets away from him, and that makes it look even worse. But I mean, God, every striker in the game's had that happen to them, whether it's in training, and you want it to happen in training, you don't want it to happen live on television. But I'm sure every striker, doesn't matter who you are, has one of these.
Yeah, well, suddenly the game against Rangers becomes so important. Rangers, again, not going to get it easy against Kilmarnock tonight, but it adds to the battle for second. We already think it's over, but this could put the nail in the coffin on Sunday.
I think Kilmarnock will give them a game tonight. I think they've been good against them down there. I think that's a few results I've got off them down at Rugby Park. So if Rangers do win, it makes Sunday massive. But I just don't think Aberdeen are going to slip up now.
I think and the Sunday game is going to be a great game. I think the Aberdeen Rangers, Aberdeen Celtic games have always been good up at Pittodrie. They've always been good games, and I think this is no different. But I think Aberdeen obviously know that a win on Sunday, I would say that is it, done and dusted. It's second place.
Second place for them even before that, Ruffy, or...
On Sunday, obviously, if they win on Sunday, I think Rangers could claw that back.
Okay, what's your take on that?
I don't think so.
No?
No, I don't think Aberdeen are going to lose enough in the last 5, and I don't think Rangers are going to win enough in the last 5.
Yeah, well, if there's one incentive to actually produce the results is to get another contract, and of course a lot has been said over the last 24, 48 hours on Kenny Miller, feeling as if the possibility of a contract is slipping away from him. But Pedro Caixinha has highlighted that every player's in the same boat. He'll wait and he'll assess them all before talking to them.
I tell you already, so all these guys that are within the group and within the squad are being assessed by us. So we have players here that maybe they have contract until 2020, but Kenny's having contract until the end of this next 2 months. So all of them are in the same conditions right away. At this moment, all of them are in the same conditions because it doesn't matter if they have contract or not, because I will decide it if they will continue or not. So they are in the same conditions, but different than the guys that we are scouting on the Scottish players, than the guys that we are scouting on the foreigner level, and the guys that we are also scouting and analyzing on the youth system. So on the next 2 months, I hope to have that decision.
I think he's right, Robbie. I think Pedro Caixinha is well within his rights just to wait to the summer, assess where they're finished, who's really caught his eye since he's walked in the door at Ibrox, and then sit down and think, okay, here's what I'm going to offer you.
I think what he first of all needs to know is how much money he's dealing with, you know, because a lot of these players are on good wages, you know, and that might be the decision whether you're there or not there, because he's obviously got a budget to work with. He won't know what it is yet, and he's talking about foreign players there. He's talking about, you know, players coming for other leagues, so he'll have to assess, because we all know when you're in that sort of a bracket, is 1 in, 1 out, or 2 in, 2 out, 3 in, 3. And that's the way he's going to operate, unless he's going to get a large bulk of money, which I don't think any of us think he's going to get.
Yeah, okay. Coming up after the break, of course, Celtic in action against Partick Thistle. We'll hear from Brendan Rodgers, and we're also going to talk to Gary about Ayr United in the Championship. Well, they've been skating a fine line for long enough, Ruffy, but I just feel as if, you know, after such a long period, I think something like 8 or 9 years remaining in the Premier League in England, I think Sunderland are heading down.
Yeah, I think they are. I always thought that was a bad move for Davy right at the start. I thought he could have waited and got a better club, but he's went in there because he's been out of the game for a wee while. They might see it as same as Newcastle. They might see that going down a division might be the place to rebuild and come back up, but coming back up's a difficult one, because all these other clubs are getting so much money, and you just have to look at the players that they're signing.
Yeah, well,
so
unless there's new owners, Ruffy, I think the Sunderland board said they're going to stand by David Moyes in the Championship, although I think the football chant of the season has to go to the Leicester City fans last night, who were chanting to David Moyes, "You're getting slapped in the morning," which shows there's a bit of humour left in the game, but nevertheless, David Moyes is still there, says he doesn't fear the sack. So we shall see if he lasts to the end and does indeed take Sunderland in the Championship, because that's where we think they're going. Celtic against Partick Thistle is one thing. One of the back page headlines we were looking at earlier on there, of course, was Brendan Rodgers praising Tom Rogic. He's been out injured. He scored a cracking goal for Australia on international duty, and he reckons he could become one of the best in Europe. High praise indeed, Ruffy.
Yeah, well, he's training with him most of the week, and I have to say I was really impressed with him as well when the European games were on. Unfortunately, I don't think he's at the stage yet where he can do the 90 minutes, but I certainly think, I thought first 30, 35 minutes, he was the one that injected the pace for midfield when Celtic were playing in Europe, and if he can add on to that what he's got already, and if you look at most of the other Brendan Rodgers players who have come on a ton, if he comes on the same as them, I think they have got a really good player there.
Yeah, I might be unpopular. I'm still to be convinced. I know that might shock you, Gary. I think, you know, when you come on after near beat-on, you know, you're definitely going to look quicker. But I'm still waiting to see the development to take a game by the scruff of the neck. I like my midfielders to go and make a pass, a telling pass, go past a man, do something that is slightly different, you know, and create something. I don't know if that's... I think that's almost certainly the way you play your football.
I think Roy's it's a bit quick on me.
Yeah.
But no, whenever I've seen him, I've played against him, I've been impressed by him. His feet are really, really good for the size of him. And I think from the start of the season he was adding goals to his game, and not just tap-ins, he was scoring cracking goals. So I think if he progresses the way, say, Armstrong's progressed under Brendan Rodgers, I think they've got a cracking player in their hands.
Tell me, do players get obsessed by going undefeated through the season? Because this has been something that talk about winning the league, then they talk about winning the double, then they're talking about winning the treble, and there's this other little caveat, which is, can you go through the season undefeated and become this invincible team?
I think as a player you set yourself goals. And I think as a Celtic player, your first goal would have been the first cup, and then the next goal was obviously league. But now they've got this, that'll be, I would say, like a trophy to them boys. I think that dressing room, that'll be a pride thing, a really important thing for them now that they've got the chance to do it, that they go ahead and do it.
Here's the Celtic manager Brendan Rodgers' take on it.
So you waste energy and you waste time, really. Why talk about it whenever you've got actually an important game on Wednesday night? You know, and then an important game on Saturday, and then away to Ross County. I always think it's very difficult to forecast in football. So many things can happen. You don't need 3-week run into it. It'll be big enough when it arrives. But yeah, we just stay calm, stay focused. It's something that's important to us because we said that back in June, July when we got together. But we don't need to keep going on about it.
Okay, Celtic against Partick Thistle. The Jags looking to cause an upset. It's going to be a tall order, according to the man who scored 101 goals for them, Chris Doolan.
Celtic this season, I think especially, have shown just how good they are. Under Brendan Rodgers, they're very well organised. They go and press very quickly and very high up the pitch. They win the ball back, and obviously you've seen the amount of goals they've scored. And every team in the league struggled against Celtic this year. But yeah, we're hoping we can pick some kind of holes in their play. But it's going to be very tough.
Head up high yet again, because season after season he just keeps ploughing the goals in for Thistle.
Dills is quality. You see him, I think his movement's brilliant. I think he holds the ball up really well, and you can see he's got an eye for goals. So no, I was really happy for him during the week when he scored his 101, and I'm sure there'll be many more to come. Yeah,
here's a look at the fixtures for this evening. Obviously, we'll reflect on these tomorrow. Celtic, Partick Thistle, Kilmarnock Rangers, Motherwell Hamilton is an absolute cracker of a derby, and then St Johnstone against Hearts. Interesting back page with Ian Cathro. I'm still adamant, just give him time, let him bring in his own players, but he's starting to talk in riddles now, Ruffy. He's worrying me. He's going through that, what I call Mark Warburton phase, where he starts painting pictures that aren't reality. What do you make of him?
Yeah, I think he's becoming the Riddler. To say about the goalposts is, it's just, I don't know where to start. Maybe if they didn't have a ball either, they might be equal, but that's not the case. I don't know. You sort of get round your head, obviously, if there wasn't any goals there would be. I don't know where he's coming from. I know. I think he's thinking. You don't. You're thinking. Do you? I remember at Partick Thistle when we'd be better. We used to have training sessions without a ball. And you'd be passing the imaginary ball about the park to the full back to the midfield, and then when the winger would chip the ball that wasn't there, and we better would say, "That's all the bar," start again. maybe he's taking it for the wee Betty coaching book.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm not going to dwell on it, other than to say that. St Johnstone Hearts is massive, Ruffy, because quite simply...
He needs to get into Europe.
Yeah. Do you think fourth or...
I don't know how they do it, but Hearts need to get into Europe. If he doesn't, all he's giving him time and everything, and next year, he will put himself under so much pressure for the beginning of the season with the fans if he doesn't get into Europe. OK,
let's switch to the Championship, because... I can't beat about the bush on this, Gary. Your running for Ayr United is a nightmare. First of all, what's the mood in the camp after the defeat to St Mirren? Because suddenly you're right behind the 8 ball.
I think everybody was as disappointed as you could be on Saturday night. St Mirren, for as good as they were, we were as bad, and I think that hurt a lot of the boys. So last couple of days probably been a bit sore. But we were in training last night, mood was up, everybody got about their business, training was good, so hopefully that's it brushed away. It's another game at the end of the day. We've got 5 cup finals left, so I'm going into Saturday against Queen of the South and hopefully 3 points. Yeah,
give us your take on it, because here's the table. St Mirren have got 6 games. They're going to play Dumbarton, which again they'll be hoping they can replicate what they did to you guys at the weekend. There's only a point, their game in hand. It's all if, buts and maybes. I'm not going to speculate on them, but they've got 6 games, and their last one is against Hibernian, and they'll be hoping that the league's done and dusted equally. So you guys have got Queen of the South, Dundee United, Morton, Hibs, and then Wraith Rovers.
Aye, it's a tough run in. I think everybody would be hoping to be safe or out the way by the time they got to Hibs. But no, I think it could go back down to the last game or the last 2 games, and Owls could be huge against Wraith. Yeah.
Do you think it's going to be between you guys and St Mirren, or do you see someone else being your main contender?
I think there'll be a couple of... I think Wraith are in there. I think the Barton are in there. So I think it's between the four of us at this moment in time.
Confident you can get away from it?
Aye, as I said, 5 massive games. I think we've played against these teams all year, and apart from Saturday, we've not been that far off. So get into these last 5 and hopefully we can play at our best and get a couple of results.
Yeah, well, we wish you the best of luck. Of course, we always like to see you in the studio. It doesn't matter what division he's in, Ruffy, we'll still have him in. I mean, that's all I'm saying. We're not going to be two-faced about it.
No, I'm sure they'll like to stay in the division they're in. You know, it's a competitive division, and if you're a player, that's the division you want to be in.
Absolutely. You can always tell which division Gary's in by the gear he's wearing. It kind of drops down every now and then we have to pick it back up. But it's looking okay today. There's no mad gear on show today. He's a little bit more reserved. We wish him the very best of luck, Ian McCall and all the guys at Ayr United. Join us tomorrow. Mark McGee, the former Motherwell manager, will be on the programme with us, showing us a new game that he has, as well as his hopes and ambitions for the future. Thanks for watching. Good night.